Hello, my name is Dr. Johnson Iyilade, and in today's Tech Talk, I'll be talking about the difference between data warehouse and data lake. Data warehouse and data lake. The difference between data warehouse and data lake. These are two storage models for data, but what is the difference between them? Now, let's look at data warehouse. A data warehouse is just a centralized repository of structured and curated data that is extracted, transformed, and loaded from various sources. So when you are talking about a data warehouse, we are taking structured data from different sources. It can be from different databases. It can be from different places, but it is structured and we are archiving it together. So it's a warehouse that is archiving all the data that come from different sources into one central place. Okay, so that is a data warehouse. Okay, it provides a kind of what we will call consistent and reliable view of the data. Okay, consistent and reliable view of the data. So you can know what is in the data. Oh, it's time information, it's customer information, it's product, and so on. So we can know what is in the data. So it's consistent and reliable. Okay, and then it's also in the data warehouse, it's more like a normal database. So it has a predefined schema, okay, or the structure, the logic in which the data is going to be structured, okay. So it defines what the tables are going to be. It defines what columns are going to be in the table, and then it also defines the relationship that exists within the data. So in a data warehouse, it's more like a database systems, but it's picking data from different sources and aggregating them together in that warehouse. So for data warehouse, the data is structured. Okay, the data that is there is structured, but the data comes through an ETL process, which is extract, transform, and load it. So we bring the data from different sources. That's what data engineers do. We bring it from different sources, then we load it into a central repository. So that is a data warehouse. What about data lake? So what is data lake? A data lake is a distributed repository of raw, unstructured data. So in the case of data warehouse, the data is structured, that is, it's in rows and columns. But for data lake, a data lake is unstructured data. It is the raw data. We don't have to say, oh, this is the structure that must follow. It doesn't have a defined schema that a data warehouse has. So it is ingested also from various sources, but the data is ingested in this original format. It doesn't have to be transformed before you load it in. You can load it and then do the transformation later on. So it supports data exploration, data discovery by allowing users to store and access any type of data. So in a data lake, you can actually store any kind of data. So it doesn't have to be structured like in data warehouse, where you only have structured data in rows and columns. In this case, the data is also coming from different sources, but it can be stored as text, it can be stored as images, it can be stored as audio, it can be stored as video, and that's what we have in today's big data world. Now, the data lake is designed to be able to take variety of data. So a data lake is designed with a schema on read approach. That is, you don't have to define the schema before you store the data. In this case, you can bring in any kind of data. So it's called schema on read. Okay, so the structure and meaning of the data are determined at the time of query, not when you are storing. So that is what a data lake is. It's an infrastructure that can take various kind of data. It can take both structured and unstructured. data into that data lake. It's not limited to just structured data like we have in a data warehouse. So let me share 3 differences between a data warehouse and a data lake. 3 differences between a data warehouse and a data lake. Number 1, in terms of storage. Okay, for data warehouse, like I said, it stores the data in structured format and it is normalized. Okay, the data is in structured format. So it uses relational databases format, okay, in storing the data. So the advantage of that is it reduces a lot of data redundancies, it improves the data quality, and then, but it also requires a lot of more processing and storage resources because it has a limit to how much data it can actually store in the database. Okay, the data has to be structured. So that is one difference. The storage of the data, it has to be structured and in a normalized way. But for data lake, the data that is stored there is in a flat and flexible way. Okay, the data that is stored there is not, you don't have to have it structured. It can be unstructured data like videos, text, images, and so on. So it uses object storage for the file systems. Okay, so it enables us to have scalability. That is, and usually when you are storing in data lake, it's for big data. It's for big data. So that means you can scale it, okay? And then you can have diversity of data, not just structure. You can have diversity. You can have video, you can have images, you can have audio, you can have different kinds of data stored in a data lake, okay? So you can have diversity of data. Now, the only disadvantage is in the storage is that there is also complexity in the data when you are storing the complexity, okay? Because you have different variety of data that you are storing there. So it's not like the structured one where you already know, okay, this is the column, this is the row. This one is variety of structures that you have, okay? So the first difference between them is in the storage. So one is for structure, that is data warehouse. The other one can take any data, whether it's structured, semi-structured, or unstructured. That is the goal of data lake. Data lake allows us to store variety of data and a high volume of data. Okay, the second difference between them is in terms of processing. Okay, in terms of processing. So in a data warehouse, okay, a data warehouse processes data before loading it. Okay, so you have to extract it, transform it before you load it in a data warehouse. You do all the transformation before you load it, because by the time you load it into the final place where you're taking the data from different sources, the data is already in a ready form that somebody who wants to use it can use it directly. You can't change it in the place where you are putting it. So in terms of processing, so it is ETL. So you extract, you transform before you load it into the final destination. So when you are creating a data pipeline, if it is going into a data warehouse, you have to extract it from different sources that you are picking the data from, do the transformation, then you load it into the final destination. The final destination where you are loading it to have the correct data that the end user needs. Okay, so you do that. It ensures that the data is clean, it ensures that the data is consistent, and it ensures that the data is in a ready state for data analysis. So when you have a data warehouse, the data that you have there is in ready form for data analysis. Now, the data can come from different sources, but it's in ready form. You extract it, you load it, and then you transform it and you load it into the final source. So now the limitation of that is that it limits the scope of variety of data that you can put in, because it has to be structured data in rows and columns. And then it also limits the speed of injection, because you have to do a lot of transformation before you load it into the final destination. So, but for data lakes, when it comes to processing, so a data lake processes the data. So it doesn't do any transformation. It doesn't do any transformation. It extracts and load the data before the transformation occurs. So it's ETL, ELT, extract, load, and transform. So it processes the data after loading it into the repository. So you can put the data in different forms in a data lake, whether it is image, whether it's video, whether it's text, whatever it is, you can put it in the data lake. You don't have to transform it into rows and columns before you use it in like in a data warehouse. So it allows us to actually bring variety of data into that environment. So the ETL tools and frameworks include things like Hadoop, Spark, and SQL. Okay, you can bring in different kinds of data into that infrastructure, but you don't have to transform it first. You load it first, then you can do the transformation later. So now the advantage of that is that it allows faster and more diverse data injection. That is, you don't have to do the transformation at the middle stage before you load it. You can load it and then do the transformation later. So it allows the data to be transferred faster, and also it allows diverse variety of data. So you are not just putting in structured data that is in rows and columns. You are also putting in data that are images, videos, and so on that are in variety of form. So, but the thing is that this is a more advanced level place. So when you are processing data that is in a data lake, you actually require a lot of advanced skill. So there is big data tools like Hadoop, Spark. They are for advanced level. So that's why mostly it's data engineers that do the work, okay, of processing those data. So it requires more skill and also resources, because you need a big storage, not a small one. Okay, you need a big storage and to analyze the data. All right. So the third difference between a data lake and a data warehouse is their usage for data analysis. Okay, is their usage for data analysis. Now, a data warehouse is best suited for use cases that require structured and standardized data for reporting and analysis, because the data lake is more like a database. Okay, the data is in a structured format, so you can easily do your dashboard and KPI by looking at the column that you are given. What are the data that are there, and what can you do with the data? So it can be predefined, and you can set up some questions that you want to ask on the data based on what is in your data. Oh, for example, things like, what is the monthly revenue by region? So that means there is a column for regions that define all the regions in the country that you are talking about, and then there is a column for revenue. So you want to now use that to say, okay, what is the monthly revenue? And maybe the revenue come month by month. So what is the monthly revenue by region? That might be a question that you want to answer. Or maybe how many customers bought product X in the last quarter. So there is a column for customer ID. There is a column for product. Okay. So now with that, you can do a segmentation to say, okay, what number of customers bought a particular product in the last quarter. So that is the advantage of a data warehouse. So it is very easy to use for data analysis. Now, but when you are talking about data lake, it's best for use cases of data analysis that does not require raw and structured data, that requires raw and unstructured data for exploration and discovery. So data lake is best for where maybe we want to analyze video, maybe we want to analyze text, maybe we want to analyze images. A data lake is good for that. But if it is structured data, a data warehouse is best for storing that kind of information. So we can apply things like natural language processing, computer visions to analyze the data that is stored in a data lake. Okay, so and you can also ask some questions. What are the main topics of customers review? Now that one is just looking at text. What are the main topics of customer review? Now in that one, you are just looking at, okay, based on the reviews that customers send to your organizations. It's a text format, but what are the informations that we can pick from there? That is applying natural language processing to analyze the text. So these are the differences. So when you want to use them for data analysis, there are limits to what you can do with each of them. If you are on a data warehouse, it means that you can do normal structured data analysis. But when you are in a data lake, it's more of using a kind of unstructured data for exploration and discovery. And there are instances where both are needed. So that is the three differences. So their usage for data analysis. So the first differences is in their storage. One is stored in a structured database. Okay, so the other one is in a flat and is stored in a flat and flexible way. So it's not like the normal relational database. So that's data lake. Okay, in terms of processing, so for data warehouse, you have to extract, transform before you load it into the final destination in the processing. Okay, but for data lake, you don't have to do the transformation. You just extract it and load it. And then the transformation can be done later on. Okay, then for their usage for data analysis, for data warehouse, it is best when you are asking questions that has to do with relational database in rows and columns. There are questions that you can ask. There are KPIs that you can set. There are dashboards that you can create using data warehouse. But when you are talking about data lake, you are dealing with unstructured information and data. And that will require you to maybe apply techniques like natural language processing, computer visions, and a lot of other tools that you use for unstructured data. I hope this tea helped you. So if it helps you, please like it and share it so that others can benefit from it. So I look forward to sharing more in my next video. See you next time.